get this going. I don't see why not. Alright, cool. Okay, welcome to the first, I guess you can call it, episode of Casting 101, where I'll be going over things to do with casting and everything that people who are aspiring casters would really want to know in terms of creating a quality VOD stream, cast, whatever you want to call it, whether it's show or it's just casting a game or two on YouTube, or even covering an entire live tournament. There's a few things that people really do need to keep track of. And I don't, to be honest, when I was sitting down and trying to plan this, there is a ton of stuff that goes into really making a good cast. And it ended up being a lot that I don't even quite know how to organize it into a formalized show and everything. So this is going to be a little weird and interesting for a first-time thing to figure out right now. But I know one of the things that I definitely want to do is have a Q&A type of thing at the end. So for you guys watching live, that would be a good way for you to just have your questions. So just write them down, keep them in. I don't think I'll really be able to cover them a lot during this, but I will definitely be needing to hear from you guys, as that's one of the main points about this whole show, is that a lot of the people that are watching are going to be wanting to be casters. I'm pretty sure a lot of people just don't want to watch how to cast if they're not going to cast. That wouldn't make any sense. Alright, but I kind of, in the complete overarching, way too broad way of organizing things, which is a great way to organize a show, is if you're a caster, there are three main things that you really need to satisfy. You have to satisfy the viewers, because without viewers, no one's going to watch you and you won't matter. You need to satisfy sponsors, because they give all the money, they give everything financial that's behind this kind of stuff, and I guess you can also extend that to any personal sponsorships or people who are just being philanthropists and just giving money because it's like, hey, I like StarCraft, here's $100 for a tournament, make a tournament happen. Like those kind of people as well, they must be satisfied, because the only way an industry can grow is if it's that, an industry, and that requires a good bit of money for a lot of things. So you really need to make sure that they're satisfied, that you're plugging them and everything that they need to have their information displayed. Good example of that is that right now, right there, you've got all of my personal sites, and then down at the bottom, it's everything to do with the CFN. That way, there's mutual growth that can be happening for both things. So that's a good example of that. And the other thing is that you also have to satisfy yourself, as cheesy as that sounds. If you're not having fun, odds are you're not going to be bringing the audience into a fun environment, and that's what this whole thing in the end is a game. You're trying to make a business out of a game. That's a potentially cumbersome thing to attempt, but when you are playing StarCraft, it's a game. It's for fun. You have to. They're granted that you're not. Okay, 99.9% of you out there are not already an established pro that makes their living off of this game. Therefore, fun is still a very high priority for you, because otherwise, it's your work time would be going towards school. It'd be going for your job or anything else. And StarCraft's a way to wind down and just relax. Now, let's go ahead and start taking a look exactly how to satisfy the viewers, because that is pretty much the most important thing in a way, is because sponsors want viewers, you want viewers, viewers want to see something good, therefore you need to make something good for the viewers, because that makes the viewers happy and sponsors happy, and that's a really big part of the whole thing. So you got to think, what can you talk about that will actually interest everybody? You're going to have a few different stages of the game. If you think about normal way people talk about StarCraft, there's the early game, the mid game, and the late game. Sometimes arguing add in a fourth one with the end game, which is sometimes people come out with the late game, sometimes people don't, but it bears noting. Because if you think about the early game, what there is to talk about, there's either A, proxy or cheese, or B, preparation for later on. That's basically it. Two things. It's not much. But then you do in the mid game, you've got 20 different timings that each race can do. You've got 5 million places on the map that you need to look at for scouting as well as other things happening. And you got to look at what each player can figure out about the other person. And you have 3 big things you can talk about. So you're not really at a loss for what to talk about there. Then you have the late game. You've got the multi-pronged attacks, the harassment that's going to be happening, the straight-up attacks, the posturing to try and get a good position, the making sure that you can see what your opponent is doing, the knowledge you've already gained from your opponent previously, and the damage you've done previously, which can all impact what the state of the game is at that point in time. And you can have to think about where the game's going to be in 5 minutes, and then there's also the fact of will there even be a game in 5 minutes, and there's just 10 things that are perfect for showing you the fact that there's A, B, and C happening in the game, and there's a lot less at A than there is at C. And which means, as a caster, you have a much more difficult time to make something interesting happen for the viewers in those first few minutes of the game whenever cheese is not happening. Because if it's 6-pool happening, you're fine. You can talk about a ton of stuff. That's just like, holy god, it's a 6-pool, he's got a attack, that can be interesting. But let's go ahead and actually take a look at a few games, because I've pulled out a few random things that I think would be relevant for this. And one of the videos I want to show you guys is just, well, also because of the fact that I don't have the rights to show you guys like day 9 or everything, I'm not going to do that. I only have a limited set of games I can show you. So the first thing that I do want to show you is just a game 1. It is just a game 1 from the IEM Singapore qualifiers that I casted, because I don't really have the rights to really show much else really. So let's just take a look at this, and we'll look at the first few minutes of the game, see how it progresses, and see how I attempt and my co-caster attempt to make it interesting for the viewers. Alright, well, Golden's been around for a very long time now. We're going to finally get into this. Yes. Alright, welcome everybody to the first game. We have Golden, who has been picked up by Quantic. So a big pickup. Let's make the quality actually better so you can really see it. But let's take a look at the beginning parts of the game. So a big pickup by them, as Golden's quite the strong Zerg. He is the red Zerg in the bottom left, going up against Stardust Light, previously known as Sunlight. He is the blue Protoss at the top right, and we have our game number 1 in a best of 5 in this IEM Singapore qualifiers for the American servers of StarCraft 2, where the top 3 of this qualifier, actually of this specific day, is the third day of the qualifier, we'll be able to get to IEM Singapore. A rather big deal.
Oh yeah, I'm just, it's starting now, so I can't wait. I can't say I can't wait to be started, but I really hope it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a great game. Remember guys, this is a best of 5, so we could see a lot of games, and I really want to see what both players have out for this this first map. Are they going to play a very macro-oriented style, play it nice and safe on Cloud Kingdom?
I would assume so. I mean, Cloud Kingdom is very good for walling off from the Protoss point of view, so as long as you're wary and can confirm the presence of a third base from the Zerg, you can generally be okay in the early game.
Alright, yeah, and as a former Zerg player, actually, I say I don't really mind this map either. Of course, you always have to be wary of the 3 pylon block, but not on these specific maps. Thank God for the neutral supply depots, so no super cheesy stuff. But you can always see, and Stardust does like doing, taking advantage of anything, like if he sees that the Zerg expands, and isn't watching, he doesn't mind throwing down a cannon or 2, or even at the third if they go for that fast third. He's that type of player who just does what he sees. He's not like, no, I'm too respectable to put a cannon down. No, he'll just do it.
I used to be that respectable Protoss, and I was just like, alright, you know what, I kind of want nice advantages at the start of the game. Alright, exactly. So we actually are having him going for a Nexus first, so there will not be any cannon aggression in this game.
Alright, so he feels pretty comfortable. Could get a gateway as well if he feels like he's not going to be any aggression, but no, does go for the Forge after Nexus, so pretty middle of the road safety and economical build. And of course Golden sees exactly what's up, so he knows the Forge timing and whether or not there's going to be any cannons down, and there probably won't.
Yeah, his pool is done, so if any pylons or cannons get thrown up, they can be killed faster than they can be built. So as long as he's very proactive with making sure he has vision of the necessary places, he'll have nothing to worry about in that realm.
Exactly, and he is sending all of his overlords out to very key places. So very nice start by him. Once the third to make sure if he does take that early third, and we have to watch to see if he does. That no cannons get behind there, and then of course the two, one of the natural and one ready to suicide into the main at any point he feels like he needs to get some identification of what Stardust is going to do.
Yeah, and we something that worries me for Stardust though is the fact that if you look at his wall, he made the hole as close to the ramp as possible, which always worries me because of the threat of circling run-bys. And if you're not going to be holding this off with a zealot and everything, you have a big hole in your wall that can be taken advantage of. And actually, that happened yesterday.
Oh, did it? All right. So,
Yeah.
I was actually thinking, and I can't remember what game it was, but it was a very like important deciding game, and the Zerg player went for a very odd, like slow Ling, a bunch of Ling attack on this specific map, and because the Protoss player walled, like you say right now, he didn't have that much of a block, and the Zerg actually won with slow Lings, like off of 2 or 3 base or something like that. It was super weird, but like you said, it can, be very worrying with such a large opening.
Alright, but now Golden is just happily just vomiting away onto his hatchery and spreading creeps. Because that's pretty much what good Zergs do. But he has thrown down his third base, so he will not be going for any obscenely early cheeses. But there is a Zealot coming straight away to confirm the presence of that third, and now Stardust is going to know that he doesn't have to worry about any 2-base busts that could be hitting him.
Yeah, and it's always comforting for the Protoss player to go ahead and knock that off his list of possible outcomes of this game. And as Zealot's just, went there, went back around, sees, I guess, go back into the natural now and see what he can see there. There are queens and two lings to block him off, so unfortunately he won't be able to see how many gases are up for Golden.
Yeah, but looks like this Zealot is going to get taken out. The question is, can it get any kills before it does get destroyed? And then we see pushing forward. Does get one Ling, but that's going to be about it. Just a little bit damage to other ones, but it got the Scout, and that's really all you want at this point in game.
Yep, and back on the Protoss' side, we do see that Golden sees only one gas at the natural, but there are in fact two taken, so that's all 4 gases. Very gas-intensive build here, coming out from Stardust. I keep wanting to call him Sun. But yeah, and the Suicide Overlord does come in, try and see, like, hey, do you have a bunch of gateways that I really need to worry about? Unfortunately, you won't see the entirety of Stardust base, but, I mean, it's enough that you can almost assume that there's not going to be a huge gateway bus coming.
Yeah, but what seems to be happening on the Stardust side of things is a Immortal Sentry attack. Whether it's going to be on or not remains to be seen, but there's the Robo now completed, and he's actually going to be getting an Observer. Wait, oh, Twilight Count's been thrown down.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not going to be going for the same thing that every other Protoss does on Cloud Kingdom.
Oh, well, Golden actually scouted it, so that Overlord just barely eked it out right there. Thank God for the buff, right? Saw the Robo and the Twilight Council. It looked like he couldn't confirm what it was, so he sent some Lings in to, just click out and say, okay, it is a Twilight Council. So he knows exactly what's going on from Stardust.
Alright, so now the question is, are we seeing Blink? We're probably going to see, wait, he's got armor queued up behind his +2 weapons. That's just a mistake. There's no way he wants that there right now.
Oh, no.
But that could actually really delay getting out an Immortal or Blink or some kind of important play down there. But it seems like we're going to see a fast third, and there it goes down right when that Link dies into the core.
Okay, so that is now us starting to see where this is really headed with the game. Like, now it's going to get to the easy point of casting. You've got the 3 bases up, everything's getting established, and we're about to have just non-stop action. So that's not really overly large issue for people who are casting now. You can see kind of what myself and Zombie Grub did do at the start, where we were saying, hey, look at this, here's the possibilities, this is the situation that we're in. Oh, look, maybe they'll be going for this, maybe they'll be going for that. We can watch how the game progresses in this respect. But I can tell you right now, that game was the first game of a 6-hour cast that we did, and you can sort of see how it's starting to kick in there. We can see at the beginning, I know I was saying a lot of ums and everything, and that actually really bothers me because it's hard to watch/listen to yourself cast. It's not at all like looking at a replay for when you're trying to just progress your own gameplay. It's a completely different story because just like saying, why am I even there? And it's so much more precise because it's so much more focused than the way a game is going. Where it's like, all right, cool. About this, probe count okay, drone count okay, cool, scouting nice, all right, cool. This is so much more in terms of the variables and the possibilities that there are. Because you can't be like, okay, I'm speaking about this, but my word choice is one out of three possibilities. No, you have the entire language that you can choose from. You can't really sort through that methodically. You kind of just have to go for it. So personality is a kind of another big aspect of this whole thing, and making sure that you're clear when you speak. I know for a fact that for me, when I'm casting for 7 hours straight at the end, that kind of starts to go away. And that's really bad, because I've had tournaments that have gone over 10 hours, and those are hellish to cast. I've literally had to cast for so long at one point, and I was solo at the end of it, and I was literally getting delirious. I was just like lightheaded going, look at the drones. Oh, this Banshee is killing drones. And I just kept watching this Banshee just killing drones, because it was just a lot of drones with no more anti-air, and the Banshee was just pew, pew, and I was just going, I was just like, drones are dying. The Banshee's killed. I was literally just like watching the kill count of the Banshee go up. You do not want to get to that point, and that is a really, 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 really important thing to think about when you are the streamer versus the co-caster, regardless of what the time is. If you're the streamer and you're trying to cast at the same time, you have to be very careful with how you move the camera. Like what we saw there when I was being there, because I was the main caster for that one, so I was streaming it and I was talking and doing all of that sort of thing. And you can see how I sort of was slow with my camera movements. It was click here. There was no like darting top of the screen. I'm not being a player just going boom, 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 boom. I'm going main base, select stuff, click on the portrait, go to somewhere else, select something, click on the portrait. Make sure everything is centered, solid, and clearly able to be understood without much difficulty. And that's really something that kind of gets left out when people are talking about casting, is the controlling. But if you think about MLG, they never have the main streamers being the main casters being the streamer that everybody sees. Just think about the fact that there are all these things about Adebisi and his observing at MLG. Like I literally was watching yesterday and someone had to sign like Adebisi's OP observing or something, and it's actually really, really important to think of the fact that if you're not MLG level, which I'm assuming you're not if you're watching this, I'm not MLG level or anything either, but you have to make sure you can observe clearly, talk clearly, stay concise, work with your co-caster, make sure that you're not missing any battles or multi-pronged attacks, and if there's multi-pronged attacks going on, you have to show either the battle or the multi-pronged attacks. You have to try and think, where does the camera go at the same time as you are screaming, going, and the Lings are attacking over here, and you got this coming over there, and there, and there, and there, and there. It can be really easy to screw that up, and then people yell at you saying, oh my god, there was a battle over there, and you missed it, and that's what you have to please. It can be really, really, really tedious. But this was a higher level cast, I guess. I mean, it's IEM. It was kind of important, but one thing that I want to now go into is more amateur casting. Because yesterday I had the Daywalker casted by some of the ZFN people, and I haven't gotten to watch. I want to point that out. I have not gotten to watch the VODs, but I went to the endish of one of the VODs for Daywalker, and I want to watch the first 10 minutes of the game and kind of see what was done, what can be improved, how the camera work was. And I want you guys watching to also think about that exact same stuff. Try and think to yourself, is there something better that could have been said? And is there a better way you could have moved the camera? Is there something that could have been organized a little better with the casting itself? What about the two people talking? What did they talk about? Think about if you're just watching, saying to yourself, I look at the minimap, I'm seeing this, casters aren't talking about that. Note all that stuff to yourself, and then realize it's 10 times harder to do that stuff when you're the one worrying about the streaming, the production value, how everything looks, the overlays, etc., 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 and then try and contemplate how you can keep track of all that stuff if you're going to be in the same position of casting yourself. Alright, so then let's bring this up. That's the wrong screen again. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, if Berg engages on their terms, like say in the middle of the map or something, I think it can work out really good for them. But yeah, if they're back in the corner there and something's attacking their third and they can't get down that ramp, it's definitely not good for them.
Yeah.
A good game out of Zephyr there though.
I mean, it's always good to be manner. I guess that's one thing that you need to kind of. I mean, you see pro players get angry all the time, but that's something that, I mean, especially in the lower leagues, it's always important to have. Manner is always kind of one of those great things that people should always have.
Yeah, definitely. Even one of the reasons I like Chef so much, you know, he maybe doesn't put up tournament results like some of the other players, but he's so nice and
Oh yeah, definitely.
just such a good community person, and you can tell they're even all of Liquid really. You
Yeah,
can tell that they're really close, so it's always fun to watch them.
Yeah, I think that's just mainly because like Liquid's like the flagship of SC2. I mean, if you've been on the SC2 community for more than 2 days, you'll know about Team Liquid. And it's always good to have those. It's always good to have nice players. I mean, if you like see EG Idra on like Team Liquid, you're gonna kind of get a bad taste in your mouth for what SC2 means. Like you're gonna kind of see that all the like the Idra rage videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I feel like EG also has their little their bad boy, you know,
Yeah.
appearance almost, or put it their attitude, I guess.
I mean,
And
like
they kind of embrace it, so they're good about it. I like how they handle it.
I mean, I definitely think that Idra's mannered up, especially recently. I mean, you go watch his stream, he's pretty nice. He's talking to everybody, and he's kind of manner. But he does occasionally do that kind of, oh, this player's gonna be bad. But I mean,
Yeah, like
it's not too bad. Yeah.
stuff. But I think he's separated a lot more now from just being mad and raging at people. Like, if he loses because of something he doesn't like, he'll understand that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, he definitely has a. Zephyr's gonna get that hatch down now.
Yeah. And did
Doesn't
that
look like Gentex wanted to.
the drone already have a third, like kind of just waiting there for that third to go down?
Another Nexus first out of Gentex here on such a small map. I guess obviously again he's really confident with his build already gonna be able to wall this off, and I guess he knows there's not gonna be any quick links coming out either.
Yeah, I think that is a complete wall off. Am I seeing that right? Oh, did that? Oh, okay, it's insert and delete. I forgot what the thing was for that. Yeah, it is a complete wall off, right?
Is it? I feel like with the Zealot it will be maybe because they have to be the circuits have to be overlapping or something.
Yeah, no, sorry, that was it was in between the pylon and one second, I heard a link. In between the pylon and the gateway was what I was going to say. There, I thought it was between the pylon and that wall there, but I guess not.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think there is one gap there. We'll see here.
Yeah.
Looks like the wings don't know if there is or not. Yeah, there definitely is.
Yeah, okay, there
Wings
is.
are going to get right through.
Oh,
there's a cannon going down, but two wings can actually get repelled by probes pretty easily. So
Yeah, you're not going to be seeing any big
he's gonna
damage
get some
dealers there.
scouting and stuff. He's going to know that there's a gateway just came up. But
Yeah.
nothing really.
I mean, I feel like if
So-
he could do a lot of damage. I mean, he did get that scouting out, and so he'll know that a lot of lings being built right now would be a big deal. So he might do that. I'm not entirely sure though.
I feel like he won't. He did throw that third down, and
Yeah.
he's pretty. I think he's pretty happy with seeing that. Genesis is going straight into a second base again.
So yeah, I think that we will be seeing kind of a similar kind of matchup to the one before. I mean,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Both players are just gonna fall into their groove. I think maybe Gentex might go for a quicker two-base timing here, only because it's a little smaller map.
yeah, I mean, this map is also really good for Protoss in that, like I said, it's small, or like you said, it's a small map. It's good for the two-base all-in pressure that a lot of Protosses love to do.
There's a couple of good places to hide pylons. You might be able to get a good board pylon up there.
I always thought the place, that ramp between the third and the fourth, there's like a kind of a nook for a great place to put a pylon, and you can just kind of move your probe to the top, and then use that as a low ground to high ground warp in area.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That would definitely not be fun. That, or even on the third base, how it kind of loops around to where, Zephyr's third base to there.
Oh yeah,
All
that.
that dead.
Yeah.
You know how to pylon.
I think it's Entombed that has like Entombed has the grass in front of that, or I guess the like not I could call it grass. I'm not.
I think I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah.
fog or what.
Alright, I think this is actually a
Block.
good spot to stop, because this is actually a really important thing that they're not doing. They spent the last couple minutes talking about theoreticals to do with other maps and everything and ignoring the game that's happening. Digression is fine, but you have to be certain about the digression, or if you're not certain, don't dwell on the uncertainties for so long. Because you're a caster, you're the professional, you're the one giving out the information. You're saying, here's what's going on, this is what it might lead to, and here's some interesting tidbits and other kind of things. You can't just be like, huh, what if this, what if this? I know on that map, and there's this map, we got all this stuff going on. Let's analyze this thing for 2 minutes, but not go over everything else. And it's like, I guess he could do that. And so just, nah. That uncertainty is kind of the thing that will make somebody on the net, if they're just watching YouTube being like, nah, I'm losing interest, let's find another game, or let's go to a different stream. You gotta interest the viewers in a little bit more of a direct sort of way. Also, if you looked at the observing that was happening there, we had him using the arrow keys. I don't know if you guys could tell that he was using the arrow keys, but his cursor stayed in the middle, and he just went up and down, but the cursor didn't disappear. If the cursor disappears, someone's moving the camera by clicking in on the mouse wheel, and then moving the mouse forward or around, which is one of the smoothest way to do it, as long as you can stay smooth. But you gotta watch out, I make this mistake all the time, is that if you click while the mouse is moving on the mouse wheel, the entire screen jumps and it just goes boom and there and it goes off center. Then you have to try and slowly bring it back or whatever. If you gotta click and then move, and it brings the screen slowly and clearly over, and it's your best way to pan through battles. It's just go click up here, there's stuff going on, come back, watch the bottom end, and you just go like this to try and cover the whole thing, because inevitably there's going to be battles where there's spread out broodlords, spread out roaches, infestors, lings coming from the back, you've got colossi, you have archons, there's stalkers here, blinking here, there's sentries laying down forces at the bottom, trying to focus everything at the top, and you got to keep moving, but you can't just be like, oh, click, 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 because that just won't work. Smooth transitions to get as much as you can. It is impossible to get everything. So don't try and get everything. Try and get most things. And then you can get into the fancy stuff like watching the Ghost Academy send up the nuke and then watching the nuke land and everything. And that's cool stuff, but don't even worry too much about that. As long as you can just find where the nuke is going to land, you'll be okay. Because sometimes that's just hard enough as it is. But here's a little trick for when you're casting and observing. In this situation, what we just saw, the co-caster was talking about an exact spot on the map, and the streamer sometimes can't find it. That's perfectly fine. And you're in a live game like these guys are, then what you can do is just double tap 3, and it goes to their camera. You know exactly what they're talking about. And then as long as you can just move the screen slightly, it won't follow them, and you'll just land straight on top of what they were talking about, and it's smoothless. It's seamless. It's so smooth. It's not smoothless. That doesn't even make any sense. It's not a word in the English language, but you get what I'm saying. You get this double tap, you know where they are, and the point is made very efficiently. Which then leads into another aspect of casting, and that is just how everything looks. We saw those guys there. I told them not to worry about the overlays for that, because we're in beta with this program, so it's not a worry at all. It will all get hashed out, and what it will look like is this. We have here an in-game that is complete. We've got a replay to cover over here with the SC2 cast. We have a voting situation happening over here, the information for the streamer itself, and then you have over here the information for the network itself, and then up at the top you have the overlay telling the people's their scores and the supplies and everything, and then you have over here a sub bar that says the map, best of, and everything. However, let's take a look at oh wait, what do I want to do? I thought I had whatever, this will work. Let's just take everything away and see what it looks like then. Now you've got a completely empty screen. This is basically what they're doing. You have pure Blizzard work here, which isn't bad. It looks fine, but just watch what happens when you just add in things one by one. You've got this, all of a sudden, that bar that is literally worthless for everything, that gets hidden. Now you can double tap 3, and they won't even know if, you can double tap 3, and it'll go to the camera. They won't even know that you're on the person's camera, so it looks like you just did great observing. You add this. Oh, look at that. We've got a lot more information to give to the player. And watch how it incorporates the Blizzard overlay into it. It looks seamless. We have the blue Protoss with the supply right there, and then we have the red Zerg up on the right of that thing with the supplies and everything as well. Plus, you have a little personality with the panda symbol instead of just the 2 for StarCraft 2. You add in this next part. Oh, this is the voting thing. You added the voting thing, and all of a sudden you have crowd participation involved. People can know who's voting for who. And then let's add some more stuff. The replay bar timer, gone. Huh. Well, that's pretty cool. So now it looks just fine. But let's go ahead and customize it more. Hey, look at that. Literally nothing gets lost on the screen itself. It's just now you've got a little more color, but it's not over distracting color, and you have all the information necessary still on the screen without taking any space away from what the viewers themselves are actually seeing. And then you can just add in, where did the panda go? The panda's supposed to be somewhere. Oh, it's over there. That's sad. It should be right here. And there you have a little more personality. By the way, you guys are kind of wondering what's going on with that. It's literally the panda head, which is just cool. That just makes me happy because I like pandas. Anyway, so now you have personality covered, you have professionalism covered, information covered, and this is just better than the Blizzard thing. It looks more professional, plus a small little thing that's different with this than with what the other guy setup had was the menu bars are gone in this top left. You take this away and you have so much more space to just show everything. This entire overlay setup doesn't plop down and kill the top mineral fields or an area of the screen or something along those lines. So with that in mind, what about getting into battles and everything? Because you can do things like taking away the user interface for StarCraft 2 by pressing Control W on some maps, and what that can lead to is being able to provide even more information. So let's just see what that looks like. I just went to the exact same wrong screen again.
But Golden's just pushing in, and he says, I'm going to end this game now.
Yeah, just look at all these units coming in. We see the Nexus.
You saw the Nexus explosion.
Lords are just flying over, and we are just gonna watch it.
You can see the entire Zerg swarm.
Come over this army. Link Stalkers, 125 supply.
And this is what I loved about the IEM setup for the overlays, is that look at the way it goes. This is the one advantage to not having that blue thing that we had for the other one, for the ZFN. This looks fine. Look at that. The Who Will Win banner has a background. It's got a little thing around the corner, so this border is going to allow it to look like it's supposed to be there. The bottom right is just the way the StarCraft looks. You can still see the map, you can still see the supplies, and you have all this information. Look at everything that is being seen right now. This entire Broodlord force on the bottom, you wouldn't be able to see normally. The Nexus explosion over there, that would not have been able to be seen normally. You can still have the production tab open and give so much more information. So this little tool that you can use is vital sometimes for just being able to portray the information you want within a cast. Alright, so that is another thing. The transitions between the scenes. I have to catch screen region right now, but normally what this would look like just going to StarCraft is seamless. Right there, we've got the game and me. You're not seeing this region or anything. It's just for doing this, I have to do that so I can show you guys the VODs and everything. So you see how that's seamless. It looks very smooth. There's no problems at all whatsoever with those transitions. So that's why you need to catch StarCraft 2 as game instead of screen region. Because no one wants to see you alt-tab. And when you're casting, you're gonna need to alt-tab. There's no way around it. Alt-tabbing is gonna happen. So then that leaves you needing tools like Craftboard, where you can have all this stuff listed in here, and you can have their names, their scores, you have
all the information you need, the best of 5, the map, and you can even add anything you want here, like it was for I am Singapore. Cool. Let's add that, and now you have this situation where you can just screen through all of these. It gets shown without an issue. Plus, it just looks so much better and professional to not just use the default stuff. No one is impressed by using things that are default. It's normal. You want to go beyond the normal. Alright, so there is one more thing that I wanted to go ahead and talk about before we ended this first day, and that is what happens in a cast where it's not just a single game. Doing a single game for like a YouTube VOD where it's just, welcome everybody, here is this game, we're just going to have some fun with it, cast it, game's done, congrats to the winner, done. You have a lot more options when you get into best of series. You can start saying, well, yeah, here's the game, but here's what happened before. And because we have that before, we have all these more in-depth things we can do with the strategy that both players could be employing for this game. And you just move on from there and just continue expressing what could be happening. And the theoreticals in this kind of situation are much more powerful than the theoreticals of, well, it's a single game. That's just nothing. So let's just take a look at this beginning of the game. It's the second game actually that we just saw, and I'm gonna point out a few things. After that, it'll be cool.
They're playing a lot of tournaments each day, and they want to get to practice, so they are just bam, bam, bam.
Okay, and here we are, everybody. We are into this next game. We are going to be spawning on top of Golden, who is going to be. Actually, wait a second. Is it going to be? Oh, they're actually. Oh, they are on red and blue normally. Alright, so Golden is going to be the red Zerg in the top right, going up against Stardust Light, previously known as Sunlight. He is the blue Protoss in the bottom left. Quantic's new pickup is showing to be quite strong. Light Esports really showed a dominating team presence in yesterday's qualifiers, and now Stardust is down 0-1 to Quantic's new pickup. This is a great way to begin the day, as this is the second game for today, and oh my god, is it great. Everybody should go vote.
Yeah, of course, everyone should do that. I still think people are going to be rooting for Stardust. He's just like one of those guys that really hooks you know, into a fan base. It's not something that you just go, yeah, I kind of like him, and then you just peel off. At least in my case, anyways. He hooks me instantly, so a little bias going on. But Golden, Zerg player, is playing great, very solid PvZ, and you can't help but respect that.
Without a doubt. And if you guys are, just so you know, the voting does get reset after every single game. So all of you already voted, vote for this game, because it's a different game. We could have a different outcome, different things can happen, and this is a map that is, I would say, Zerg friendly.
Yeah, but I mean, it used to be that like Zerg was like, oh, Zerg Daybreak, it's totally mine, and Protoss is like, oh my god. But I think now Protoss has gotten to a point where it's like, yeah, I'm okay with it. Not as okay with Zerg, I'd say, but Protosses don't mind it, and obviously Sasan didn't want to veto it, so he doesn't mind it at all. But does he have anything special planned after that last game? I mean, both players played a very solid macro game. Who's going to change it up first?
Yeah, this is a great map for doing Century Immortal play. Like, going for that 2-base start is something that's really big, but one of the things that you've seen Protoss do a lot to make sure that they're more okay with this map is doing interesting types of walls at the third, doing partial walls, full walls, trying to make sure that they can incorporate the Nexus in, having pylons, putting the cannons behind the pylons, creating circling tight areas that the Zerglings can't touch because of the cannons are being protected by buildings. All these small little techniques that are really helping Protoss defend against the multi-pronged aggression that is so strong in a map that has a wide open third, and the natural, you can enter both the third and the natural with not too much difficulty from a Zerg point of view.
I want to point out that another reason the Zerg really like this map is because you can easily gain advantage or gain sight of the Protoss's gases, so at least they know what's coming. Whether or not they can actually stop it is another question, but at least they know. So one Overlord parked at the Natural's gases will always see both of them, even if you have to suicide it, which you really don't have to. You will see both, or none, you know, depending on what they get. But Golden should know what's coming. Should, not always, but some good Overlord placement. Daybreak can be very Zerg friendly when it comes to scouting.
Yep, and Stardust is doing a nice job of getting out his tech. He's playing it safe. I believe he actually might have gone for a Nexus first again. I didn't actually get to see the timing, though. He did?
Yeah, he did. And yeah, just in a Forge and Gateway. So another standard one. I'm kind of surprised he didn't try, maybe in the next game he will, to get a Forge first and try and see if Golden has any scouting holes when it comes to get his bases, but, you know, maybe he's already played Golden a few times and knows that that's not possible.
Yep, and something that's really powerful in this map is to actually try and sneak some cannons in behind over here, but with that Overlord buff and the speed, it actually becomes a lot less powerful, because as you can see, Golden is demonstrating a very powerful vision way of just making sure that he knows nothing is being thrown down over here. Alright, what happened there was just me recovering from me realizing I made a mistake. If you guys make a mistake, roll with it and change it. I was like, yeah, it's really powerful right here, but wait, no, it's not actually powerful because Golden just saw it. And I kind of just kept going with it by saying, well, you just heard it, so you just know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just, hey, look, you can do this, it's really powerful, but Golden counters it, and then just talk about the implications, and just move on as if nothing went wrong, even though in actuality, I will give you guys the knowledge that that did go wrong.
Right, yeah, and he has 4 lings out on the map, so 2 for the Xal'Naga, 1 to see what San does for his 3rd, and another one just to scout purely for proxy pylons. A lot of Protoss builds, you know, whether it's harassment or all-ins, really does count on a proxy pylon, so catching them at least gives you, hey, they're actually going to push right now, or in the offense to actually be able to kill it, really helps you out.
And with all 4 of these gases getting taken, Stardust is not having anything that's going to be surprising Golden. Golden knows the possibilities. He just has to go ahead and narrow down what is going to be. But we see a very early robotics facility being thrown down now, and this makes me very much think that he will be going for more of that standard Protoss way of going for the Sentry Immortal play, because we are not seeing a Twilight Council being thrown down yet, which he did throw down in that last game.
Yeah, I was really, you know, I was about to say, that's the key point, is he going to throw that Twilight Council that we saw last game? And it doesn't look like it. Unfortunately, though, Golden does scout everything. Like, he scouts the lack of everything, too. His Overlords are just like, I'm seeing everything, man. You can't do anything about it, because there isn't any anti-air on the field yet. Only just now a Sentry popping out.
Yep, so Golden's 3rd is now completed, so he's going to have a nice economy. If we take a look at the main base, he hasn't started mining the gas, except for just now he starts throwing them in. So here we have his gas starting about basically 720 in terms of the mining for 3 gas geysers. So he will be able to get out his tech a little bit slower than he could have gotten, but not any means that's worrisome. It's just kind of odd to see the gases starting to be mined at 62 supply.
Yeah, it's very, like, you know, minute stuff, though, so I'm sure he has some reasonings for it. Now, we do actually see a Twilight Council being thrown down. It's actually almost done, and I don't think Golden saw that. Nope, he did not. Or yes, he did. No, he didn't. Okay, so if he actually moved in, he'd definitely be able to see it. That's actually...
Okay, so now that thing where you just have press the button and see exactly like whose vision is at the top, you just press V. That's default hotkey for that. You just select something, you press V, and it says this is the vision of who. And you notice that you have the Alt F selection, like the view, ally, team colors or whatever. Just pressing Alt F, you can have it so that you actually, when you go to someone's vision, the green and the other person's red, or green and blue, or whatever it is. But it's a really good way to give information without you to say anything. Because that's something that you have to also worry about when you are the observer versus the co-caster, is that when you're the observer, you have to think, what information can be shown without being said? Because when you have the late game, 20 things happening at once, and you can have 5 things that are incredibly relevant to what's going on, and you gotta figure out when it's okay to not say something and just to hover over something and just show it. So if you have lings around the map that are waiting to do a run by, you can just go over them, bring the camera to them, box them, select them, and move on. It shows where they are, it shows information, what the units are there, and then you just move on forward. If you have a Greater Spire morphing, you can go ahead and show that while your co-cast talking about whatever, and then you can return to that later on when it comes your turn to talk. Because you can't just interrupt your co-cast and just be like, "Hey, it's a Greater Spire!" Because that's not healthy for a cast. You never want to say no to your caster. You never ever want to do that. If they say something, go with it. Even if it's something ridiculous, because the last thing you want to do is make them pissed off at you. One of the best examples of this is literally one of the only times I've actually gotten to like be semi-angry during a cast, because this is what I do. This is fun for me. It's relaxing. I get to talk about video games. There's not much else that's really better than that. But this one time, this caster that I was casting with was saying that, like, I was talking about the saturation of each of the bases, but what I was saying was the ratio of workers from the main to the natural was offset on purpose, and then moving forward, and then there was like, I think you mean the saturation of the mineral line. I'm like, no, I mean the ratio of the amount of workers from one base to the amount of workers to the other base, and it was just like what is the point of doing that? What are you accomplishing besides pissing off your co-caster and harming the cast and harming the credibility of the cast overall by downgrading the person you're trying to portray as a professional to the audience? There's no reason for that. There's no positive outcome. It's kind of like cursing. No one's going to be like, oh, that caster just cursed, I immediately like him. People are just going to be like, either doesn't matter or, ooh, he was cursed, that's not professional. I'm going to go somewhere else where it's more family oriented. Like, I don't want to watch this with my kids, because there are literally families out there that watch StarCraft. There have been a couple stories of them that I've heard where there's even actually a post on Team Liquid from this father saying, guys, these sexual innuendos and all this stuff, it's not okay. Like, I'm watching this with like my 10-year-old son. We bond over StarCraft. So you can only push people away. You can't bring people to you by doing things like shutting down your co-caster and saying no to your co-caster. Those just don't go anywhere. And I think that's a good ending point for this first episode, you can call this, of Casting 101. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned. If anybody's got questions right now in the chat, I will just watch that for a minute or two, and we shall see. Alright, now, so we got silent clap for the speech. Thanks, Shaft, and glad to hear someone else say that. Awesome, thank you. And someone saying good job. I don't see any questions, so guys have a moment or two for questions, but while it's happening, I'm going to say that I'm on camera, and I just went like this. That's bad. I hope you enjoy the shot of my left ear, because that is so professional and so interesting. No, when you're on camera, act like it. You can see this with MLG yesterday, at MLG at any time, especially day 9, because compare day 9 from the day 9 daily when he's just cracking up and going like, oh, this is funny, and just making a fool of himself, versus MLG. He's poised, he's standing up straight, he's talking, he's straight at you all the time, and it is just, yes, DJ Wheat, this is how it goes. Thank you so much. Purely professional. I will stare at everybody, and I will make sure a connection is made. Because you can see me, I can see you, and this is important. This is eye contact in a conversation. You want to show paying attention. That is vital to having people, for one, think you're knowledgeable without knowing anything about you. If you can portray something well, people are 10 times more likely to believe you. And 80% of statistics are made up. Yeah. And that was just a random thing because I think this is pretty much done. Alright. So now, I think that's it. No one's really having any questions, so thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you learned some. And I will say goodbye. And thank you.